Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday and welcome to the Rangers Review morning briefing for Monday, the 3rd of April. I'm Derek Clark and I'm delighted to say we're joined at the start of the week by Joshua Barrie. How are we getting on, Joshua?
Good, Derek. Yeah, I knew you had a busy day at Wembley yesterday, I believe. So I think the question's more relevant to you.
Yeah, it was a great day down at Wembley yesterday. Of course, I also do a bit of work for Bolton Wanderers, who were in the Papa John's Trophy final yesterday against Plymouth at Argyle. I think everyone expected it to be a tighter affair than what it was, but Bolton blew the Pilgrims away. 2 goals in the first 10 minutes, winning 4-0 overall. Could have been about 7 or 8 in all honesty. They were absolutely magnificent yesterday. Just shy of 80,000 at Wembley as well for the Papa John's Trophy final, which is quite incredible. We got a press release when the match was actually being played and saying it was the biggest attendance in Europe this weekend. So quite astounding considering it's two teams from the third tier in England. But yeah, fantastic day yesterday. Great to see Declan John, former Rangers player, was performing well. He actually assisted with the first goal. Great corner. So yeah, he was good.
I remember Declan John scoring away at Kilmarnock, I want to say. I think did he not play? I think he played higher up the pitch. He played as kind of like a left midfielder.
He plays left wing back for Bolton. Loves to bomb forward. I quite enjoyed Declan John when he was at Rangers. Of course, Gerrard came in, I think, and then he never got an opportunity and was on his way. But on his day, he's a right cracking player. But yeah, that was a great day had by all yesterday. But people are tuning in to talk all things Rangers, of course. So let's crack on and talk about Michael Beale's side, who won again at the weekend. 2-0 win over Dundee United to set them up for the Old Firm game at the weekend. Before we do that, folks, just a quick word. You know the drill by now. Our podcast sponsors are Seneca Hair Restoration, the #1 hair corporation in Europe, no less. So if you're looking to reinvigorate yourself, perhaps, maybe restore some lost self-confidence, then these are the guys to go to. And as ever, I've put their website and their social media links in the description box. If you want to subscribe to our YouTube channel, I believe we're still just shy of 12,000 followers, subscribers. So thanks each and every one of you for supporting the channel, and it's growing all the time. And if you want to subscribe to the website itself, just £2.99, I'll get you all the exclusive content on there. Just head over to rangersreview.co.uk/subscribe for all the details. £2.99 a month, absolute bargain, folks, for the content you receive on there. Right, Joshua, you were at Ibrox for us on Saturday. Good win for Rangers, a milestone, of course, for Alan McGregor, his 500th Rangers appearance, which is some feat. Had a nice little trophy presentation, being given a trophy from John Gregg as well, just prior to the game, which was I thought was a nice touch. Malik Tillman with the 2 goals, popping up again. Good to see him scoring and strengthening the argument that Rangers should get the deal done. I know that Michael Beale did touch on that afterwards about Bayern Munich to bring him into the club on a permanent basis. Your main takeaways from the game on Saturday, that's what we're wanting, is it not? Just a routine, easy, Ozzy 3-0, 2-0 win?
Yeah, we'll get on to speaking about Tillman for the kind of remaining 25 minutes, hopefully, Derek. But firstly, I think routine's the right word. I mean, it reminded me quite a lot of when Jim Goodwin brought his Aberdeen team last season. Rangers won 1-0, and I think they created 0.07 expected goals that day. It's difficult when a team sits in as Dundee United did. I thought at points within the first 15 minutes, Rangers were able to kind of stretch them a bit and play those balls in behind the midfield and get Tillman turned. Ben Davies played a nice one into the feet of Morelos. Jack found Tillman a couple of times. Thereafter, it becomes a bit difficult because the pace of the game slows. We've seen this so many times before, Derek. I don't think the chance quality was great, and this is obviously something that I think is going to take the summer to really rectify for Rangers to probably play with the intensity at home throughout the whole 90 minutes they want to. But again, you're talking about routine wins. They happen in football, especially in a league season like that. Rangers never really in danger of conceding, apart from a kind of couple of breakaways in the first 15 minutes. Kent gave the ball away cheaply at one point. The big takeaway, though, you're right, Derek, has to be Tillman. playing with a bit more freedom, kind of just off Morelos, joining him in the top line of points. We can come on to it, of course, but it raises a really interesting point about who plays next weekend, because surely after that performance, and just in general, you can't not play Tillman. I think it's been an interesting kind of journey for him under Beale, and Beale said this himself, speaking about the different modifications that have been made to his game. To this point, obviously, he's played in midfield a lot. He's played a deeper role at points. Think of the Cup semi-final against Aberdeen at Hampden. At the weekend, we saw him play right close to the striker, and I think he looked really comfortable there, had time to turn on the ball. Such a strong ball carrier, which often gets overlooked. And I think the thing with Tillman is he has so much to his game. I can't think of anything off the top of my head he really lacks, which is maybe makes it a bit difficult to try and profile him as a manager and put him in a position that will get the best out of him. I think playing him in midfield worked. I thought Rangers needed that at the time to have that goal threat. I think with Cantwell there, though, Tillman looks really comfortable a little bit higher up with a bit more freedom. And yeah, the game was all about his 2 goals, which were really well taken.
Yeah, they certainly were. Lots of comments coming in from the game on Saturday. First of all, this one from Ross Joshua. It says, good to meet Joshua at the game on Saturday. We're both fully on board with Tillman further up the pitch. A pleasure to watch it at the weekend. Did you meet Ross at the weekend, Joshua?
Yeah, good to chat with Ross in the gantry. And yeah, he's been on that Tillman further up the pitch train for a little while. So yeah, I enjoyed watching him. But he was brilliant, Derek. I mean, I think just on that point, Beale said after the game, I've got the quote here, he said that it was I can't find it actually. Basically, he said there was some things that Rangers had been working on that kind of came into focus. And I think you've seen that. I've got a little graph here which kind of ties into one of the pieces that we've done on the website. I don't know if you can take off Ross's comment as much as it is a very good one. Sorry, Ross. Yeah, but Beale spoke about... he obviously wants his attackers to play close together, but I think that, and hopefully you can see this, the article, it's on our Twitter feeds, obviously, and it's in the comments as well. He spoke about Tillman and Cantwell's relationship and that coming out more in the pitch, but he also spoke about some kind of premeditated routines that Rangers are working on. And both these goals come from Tillman being the third man, so that being the ball isn't played to him. In this instance, it's played to Cantwell, who obviously everyone knows, having watched the goal, reverses it round the corner. But Tillman, you can see in this screen grab, Derek, he's got his arm outstretched. He knows that pass is coming, and that allows him to set off before his man does and get to the ball first. And it's these fine details that do break down a block like this when a team is, as you can see in this screen grab, the shape of Dundee United, they're condensing the space so much. So I thought for both goals, it was an encouraging example of how Tillman can get free in the box, how Rangers attackers playing closer together is working. And also what evidently they are working on the training pitch to try and break down defences. I thought both of those goals were really good example of that.
Yeah, let's get to a few of the comments that are coming in. Just on well, first of all, let's touch on Michael Beale's comments afterwards. Just on Malik Tillman. He was asked about him. He says that there's an option there we can take. Like all things, the player has an option in it as well as a club. A lot of things are agreed, but obviously there's been a change of manager there as well. It's not a part of the negotiations that I'm involved in, but I am fully up to speed with that. There are more talks over the international break, and everything at the moment is positive. Me and Malik have a fantastic relationship, and I think he really enjoys playing here. I think you only have to look at the way he has grown. He's really enjoying his football. Which was interesting. He also asked if Tillman is looking to extend his stay at Ibrox, and Beale says, yeah, I've never felt anything different from him. He's really locked into the staff and invested in the team. Since we've come in, we've made quite a lot of modifications to Malik's game in terms of certain aspects. Today we asked him to play really close to Alfredo because we thought it would give us a physical presence. It was a slight change for him from normal, but he's come away with 2 goals. He's showing good signs that he can do a variety of jobs at such a young age. I think he's got a really high ceiling. So yeah, everything is positive around the boy at the moment. Totally agree with that, Joshua. He does have a high ceiling. I think it's an absolute no-brainer that Rangers get this deal over the line. Of course, Celtic on the horizon. Gordon Bond raises a point. Is this unfair? Problem is, Tillman hasn't showed against Celtic.
I don't think anyone has this season, Derek. That's the thing with Tillman you've got to remember is his first season. You take that first game at Parkhead, yeah, fair enough. That was a bad performance from him, but I think especially comparing it to the 3-0 game, so many players, more experienced players, whether it be a tactical, mental reason, faltered again. So I don't think he was the main issue there. You look at the semi-final, didn't have a good game. Logic tells you that he probably wasn't fully fit if he spent time out after that. I don't think to anyone he looked fully fit in that game. Again, I don't think Rangers played well at all. Thought he was relatively good in the 2-2 game, playing in midfield, Ibrox, without being exceptional. But when he came in, Derek, he obviously has that game against PSV away from home, USG at home. And in the background, you've always had to remember with Tillman, like, this is his first professional season. He's 20 years old. He's already scored 10 league goals from an expected goals, I think, of 5.6, so well overperforming his expected goals. Really high level finisher. He's definitely had games, I think, at the start of the season in the Champions League where he's looked a bit off the pace. But you've got to remember, firstly, how bad that Champions League campaign was for Rangers, the lack of confidence in the side. It was interesting, actually. John Lundstrom coming into the press room, and the quotes from this are on our website. And he said, he basically looked back on when he was asked about Tillman, and he said, well, he was getting criticised at the start of the season. And he's right, he was. It was as if Tillman had, I think, arrived as a 24-year-old player who Rangers had spent a lot of money on. 21st professional season. I think how much would he cost in an open market to bring in at the moment? That's probably a question that answers how much he's worth at the moment, Derek. Yes, he's maybe not had a match-winning performance against Celtic yet, but you're obviously only going to get that if he does play against Celtic. You do have an issue, I think, in who you play, because Sakala away from home, I think, has been so effective for Rangers. Obviously scored at Parkhead last season. It gives you a different dynamic because of his ability to run behind. You presume that one of Morelos and Cholak is going to play, and obviously Kent's going to play. So 4 doesn't go into 3, and I think that's going to be the main kind of talking point going into the weekend.
Well, this is just on the back of that, Joshua. Craig Manson says, can we afford to go to Parkhead with Tillman and Cantwell in the middle of the park? It's an interesting point, isn't it? Celtic have a decent midfield in there, loads of energy. Rangers are going to have to match up. I think it all depends as well on if Nico Raskin will be fit and available for that game. By the time that game comes around, Joshua, he wouldn't have played for, God, what would that be? 3 weeks? Am I right in thinking? Yeah. Is it more than that, perhaps? But yeah, it's going to be a bit of time. I'm sure he'll be busting a gut to get fit for that game. I think that's vital for Rangers to get him in that midfield. Ryan Jack as well would be the other player I would play alongside him.
Yeah.
But Tillman and Cantwell in the middle of the park, I'm not entirely sure that's the best route to go down.
I don't think that's going to happen, because obviously that's not happened so far. It'll be 2 of Jack and Lundstrom or Kamara and Raskin. I think everyone would put Nico Raskin in there. Raskin and Jack would be my pick. I'm sure for most people it would be the exact same. I thought John Lundstrom kind of struggled at the weekend. In patches, kind of turned the ball over a few times. No doubt that his form probably isn't where he'd want it to be. This time last season in Old Firm game at Hampden, he had a brilliant game. There is that level of performance in him, but especially after the game at Hampden, are you going to start that same midfield? I don't think you can. But I think Rangers also have to go and attack the game. I don't think they can sit off Celtic, and if they play, I'm sure Cantwell will start in the middle. Beale hasn't played a kind of conservative midfield where he's played 3 more controlling players. He's always had an attacking outlet in there, whether that be Cantwell or Tillman. Tillman has to play, I think, especially in that freer role. I think that's exciting, and it gives Rangers something different. But yeah, to go back to that point, I don't know who you play in that front 3, because Ryan Kent's obviously going to play. I'd be shocked if he doesn't. But Fashion Sakala has been so effective away from home, not only with his goals, but also his chance creation, playing down the side kind of the 2 centre-backs, been really effective when he's been playing into space for Rangers. So yeah, I think it is the sign of things to come with Tillman playing higher up domestically. He's got the tools to unlock defences. And that relationship with Cantwell is something to kind of watch, Derek, because the manager spoke about it at the press conference on Friday, and it was certainly evident in the game of the weekend.
Yeah, Gavin Sloan raises a good point. He says, whatever we do, don't play Tillman out wide. I totally agree with that, Gavin. I think that's an experiment that hasn't entirely worked, especially against Celtic, as we've seen in that League Cup final recently. Graham Morrison gets in touch. He says, morning, lads. If the Beale train had arrived at the start of the season, we'd be on the right track for a title win. Excuse the puns. I am a railway worker. Totally agree, Graham. I mean, it's title winning form. that Michael Beale has got his Rangers team playing at the moment. Unfortunately, there's a team on the other side of the city that are also sweeping up wins every week. So it is what it is. I think that the gap between Rangers and Celtic and the rest of the teams is huge at this moment in time. You just can't see where Celtic are going to slip up at the moment. Rangers taking care of their own business, and that is all they can do. I'm sure come Saturday we'll have a clearer idea if Rangers have that outside chance of possibly turning this around. I have my doubts, but listen, it's a one-off game that they can win. There's 2 Old Firm games remaining, but there's then that goal difference as well. But certainly Michael Beale, since he's came in, has done a cracking job, I would say. Of course, only blot in the copybook is that League Cup final, and unfortunately losing that late equaliser at Ibrox in the previous Old Firm. But in the main, I think he's done a cracking job. Let's get to a few more of the points that are coming in. Martin says, I think it would be a risk for Raskin to start on Saturday. I predict the team that started against United will start against Celtic. That's an interesting one. You touched on John Lundstram there, Joshua.
Yeah.
Not had his best of games, not had the best of seasons, it's fair to say. I wrote a piece on him during the week, a newsletter on Rangers have a decision to make it in the summer. He will be entering the final year of his contract. A lot of fans would like to see Rangers cash in on him. He needs to up his game, doesn't he? Because Rangers need more from him. He's capable of more.
He is capable of more. I don't always think that kind of slow tempo of game suits him, where you maybe need a midfielder who's going to really set the tempo or play through from the base midfield. I know Raskin has only played kind of in that number 6 position once away at Livingston, but I think he gives you a lot more in terms of breaking a defence down. His expected assist before he arrived at Rangers from his time in Belgium was a lot higher as well, playing at the base of midfield. But if he was fit, I'd play him. He's supposed to be back in training early this week, Michael Beale said. If you listened to Beale's press conference last week, it very much sounded like Raskin was pushing to be involved as soon as possible. He will want to be. I think you just got to look at the last Old Firm game, Derek. The midfield is such obviously an important part of a football game. That's really cliche. But I think Raskin's energy will be really important if he is available. And if you'd hope if he was supposed to be back in training early this week, it would give him sufficient time to get back up to speed for the weekend. It's not as if he's been out for a number of months. You know, he has played quite regularly since coming in. So I'd definitely play him in there. I think that would give people more confidence going away to Parkhead if Nico Raskin was in the midfield. You're right, Lundstram is has shown a lot more than he's shown recently. I think if you think of his best games, you do think of big games, which he's not really been able to do this season. You know, again, that mentioned Old Firm game, and then obviously all of the European games, but then even Hearts away recently. I think all those games had more space. They were more end-to-end. It was less about controlling the tempo from the base of midfield. So yeah, big decision to be made in the midfield. What you would say with Beale is that he has stuck by Lundstram and played them a lot. He's played a lot of football this season, Lundstram. So if Raskin isn't available, you'd imagine it would be that Lundstram and Jack midfield as opposed to Kamara, given he didn't start the weekend.
John Dooley says Lundstram has not done enough in near his 2 seasons here to justify staying at Rangers beyond this season. A few comments similar to that. He's certainly not had the best of seasons this campaign. Let's get to a few more comments that are coming in. Jim McKerrow raises a point here, Joshua. Does anyone know why Hadji wasn't in the squad on Saturday?
No, I don't presume it was. He wasn't asked about it after the game. Presume it was just the fact that you can only pick so many players. Hadji is in that bracket. I guess it's a difficult place to be because he's not played a lot of football, but you need to play more football to get to a match fit stage. That's a busy area of the pitch for Rangers, and it's only going to get busier. If you look at especially Tillman and Cantwell, but also Kent, Tom Lawrence next season, Alex Lowry still to come back in and around that position. So we'd like to see more of Hadji. I think he gives you something different in these types of games. But yeah, I don't know how much we will see in between now and the end of the season, Derek, just purely because there's not many games that aren't imperative. I know Rangers are 9 points behind, but all they can do is keep winning. And it's a hard team to get into at the moment because, what is it, 16 or 17 wins since Beale came in? I think the previous comment's right. Obviously, there is Rangers are churning out results domestically like they haven't in quite a while. Just the context that Beale inherited has made that probably dampened the mood a little bit naturally, because it is still a 9-point gap at the top.
Yeah, a few comments come in about Hadji. Apparently he was ill, David Thompson says as well. A few other comments as well. So thank you for that guys. It's like you, Josh. I think with Hadji, I think that there's a realisation that we're not going to see the best of him until he gets a pre-season under his belt and when we kick on next season. But I know there is an argument that can Rangers afford to let him go, perhaps, to fund this revamp in the summer, which is an interesting point. Will Rangers get the Yanis Hadji that we've seen prior to his injury? Who knows? That the jury is certainly out on that one, but we do wish him the very best, and hopefully he can get back to his best in Rangers colours. Let's get to a few more comments come in. Maka says, morning lads, great piece on McGregor. Derek, thanks for that. Will Rask be match fit for Saturday? We touched on that. Lundstrom looks low in confidence, and do we start with Sakala or Tillman, Joshua? Yeah, the piece on Alan McGregor there on the website, folks. Of course, as I mentioned earlier on, it was a milestone game for him on Saturday, 500 matches. I spoke to a number of his former coaches prior to joining Rangers. So it was a coach at Hutchison Vale and a former player that played there alongside him. Michael Ray, former Rangers youth goalkeeper, spoke highly of him. And likewise, Jim Leishman and John Connolly, who he played under at Dunfermline and St Johnstone as well. So I do urge you to go and check it out. That's on the website, folks. And another interesting point. Well, first of all, Billy Bright gets in touch. Derek, could you give a shout out to Tam and Jamie Brown from the Wirral Loyal for getting me to and from Ibrox during the engineering works on the West Coastline at Carstairs? Absolutely, Billy. Top guys, Tam and Jamie. Met them a few times down at the Wirral Loyal. So, no bother at all. I'm not surprised at that, Billy. The great gentleman there. That is fantastic to hear that they helped you out at the weekend. Let's get to a few more points. Well, first of all, bit of a game yesterday, Joshua. Rangers and Celtic B team at Ibrox. Rangers down to 8 men come the end. Doug M says the B team game was awful. Our pool of emerging talent is very shallow. And there's another point. Scott Hammond says some weekend with referees at the weekend with the B team getting 3 players sent off. I know David McCallum was furious at the press conference afterwards. That is on our YouTube page, folks. If you watch us there, you can go and check out that press conference. Johnny McFarlane was at the game for us. Lucas Budanaukas was sent off in the first half when he came off his line, sent off just before half time. Bailey Rice was then given his marching orders in the second half, 67 minutes, when he brought a Celtic attack to an end with a poorly timed challenge just outside the Rangers box, and he was given a second yellow. Then Adam Devine was shown a red, straight red, for lunging into a tackle that the referee deemed dangerous in the dying embers of the game. I know he was furious afterwards, David McCallum, Joshua, but not a good day at the office for the Rangers B team. Not only the 3 players getting sent off, which is not good, but losing at home to Celtic by 3-1. Bad day at the office all round.
Yeah, I've got the transcript here from McCallum's press conference. I'll just read it out there because I wasn't there. It was Johnny, as you say. He said on the initial sending off, it was a ridiculous decision. If you want to make big decisions, you have to get them right. It's clear the ball is at very worst over the line, as in on the line as he catches it. And the next step he takes is into the box. So we see a big decision like that at that stage of the game. We were excellent up until that point and clearly ahead in terms of how we were controlling the chances created in that moment. Changed the game. Asked in terms of those 3 men sent off, it wasn't really a confrontational game. He says, no, far from it. Like I said, I keep going back to this being probably the flagship game of the season for us, playing against each other. You get bigger crowds in a lot of divisions across the country. If we're going to get big names like this, the officials need to get it right. And that decision at that point was crucial, and kind of goes on. So I think McCallum most frustrated, Derek, about that particular first sending off, especially given that Rangers, I think, went into a lead as well. So, yeah, not a good day out, especially because being at Ibrox. I was there at the game last season when Rangers won 3-0, and they were fantastic on that day. You want to make the most of those occasions, but it sounds like it was a bit of a unique occasion. And McCallum's a very measured person, I think, to speak to, very calm, kind of composed. So I think if he's getting angry about it, then it'll be justifiably so.
Yeah, absolutely. We had an infiltrator in the comments, folks. I never spotted it, but it has been blocked, just in case you were wondering there. But that has been sorted out. It's been rooted out. So thanks for flagging that up, folks. Number of other comments coming. Yeah, wasn't it a good day for the Rangers B team? Yesterday, a real sobering day for David McCallum and the young Rangers side. Of course, Thompson Ishaka made his debut as well, of course, signed in midweek after a successful trial. Just touching on what McCallum said about him. He says, I enjoyed watching him. I think probably most folk would enjoy watching him. You can see he loves looking after the ball. He loves taking people on. He's got a trick. He's strong. We're trying to get him a little more energetic and get his fitness level up a little bit. That will take time. And unfortunately, at this stage of the season, time is running out a little bit. But there's a lot to be excited about with Thompson. And again, I'll get back to that decision. We take a player off the pitch because of a decision that we can't control. But yeah, he was fulsome in his praise of Thompson Ishaka. Right, let's get to a few comments that are coming in at the moment. Just going back to the Tillman thing, Denzel gets in touch, good friend of the show, says Tillman, an attacking 10, no doubt about it, not as effective from the right, wasted playing deeper. It's just off the back of what we're touching on with Parkhead looming, and I wanted to ask about Alfredo Morelos as well. Joshua, what do you make of his display at the weekend? Again, the manager, I think, for me, I had him in my predicted lineup. I thought he would get the nod from the manager after an impressive cameo against Motherwell, and also with one eye on Parkhead as well. I think he'll go with Morelos next week. You happy with that, or would you like to see Čolak come back in?
Well, I think just on Tillman, it goes back to something that Beale said recently about players making the team better, not just individually. Obviously, if he's playing a bit deeper, you don't always get to see him as much in the penalty box, but I don't think I think he still makes the team better by playing in that position. Understand Denzel's point, though. I think if you're looking at his individual performance, then the weekend is a pretty good demonstration of why you want him to be in the box more. When the game's more end to end, I think you want him as involved as possible, which kind of is why Beale had played him there. It's a really difficult decision because Beale said that he kind of insinuated that he wasn't looking ahead to the game of the weekend with his decision making. I'd be surprised if that's true. I think in an ideal world, Morelos would have had a really good game leading into the game at the weekend. I thought he was fine. The thing is with Morelos is he has because there's so much kind of noise about him. You'll have these games and they're a discussion point when there's actually not much to discuss about his game. I thought he linked well at points. Thought he looked pretty strong, held the ball in well. Had a couple of chances, probably should have scored at the back post or hit the target with at least one of those two headers in the first half. I don't think Čolak will play as that kind of sole number 9 because I don't think he holds the ball as Morelos can, and he's not going to run him behind. I think when you've seen Čolak play, it's no coincidence it's been with Sakala kind of in that split striker role, almost obviously away at Hibs being the prime example of that. Čolak does give you a lot off the ball. I think a lot of work and energy, a lot of tactical discipline. I would be surprised. I don't think Beale's going to go for playing a kind of Tillman as a false 9 and not starting Morelos or Čolak purely because he's not really pulled rabbits out of the hat like that so far. We kind of know his overall structure, even if there's flexibility within that. Is there any chance that Kent doesn't start and Sakala and Tillman do? Probably not, because he starts in every game. But then equally, Sakala's, I think, played and started in every away game under Beale so far, maybe bar one. Or maybe you bring him on later. Maybe you start Tillman and you bring Sakala on later in the game. When Celtic press intensely, Rangers have tried to go over the top to Sakala quite a lot in the last couple of games, so it would maybe require a bit of a change in tack. But yeah, Tillman has to play. I think if Tillman isn't in the starting 11 come next Saturday, Derek, we'd all be pretty shocked.
Yeah, another selection dilemma that Michael Beale had at the weekend was who he started at left back. He opted for Borna Barisic coming back in. Joshua Ridvan was an unused sub. Does that tell us anything? I think Borna's going to get the nod on Saturday as well. Would you have liked to see Ridvan get a run out?
Yeah, but I don't think he will in this game. I think it would be quite a lot to throw him into that. I was surprised that he didn't play. I thought he'd have, given it was international break and he had that extra time, I thought we might see him. But makes sense, I guess, to keep that back four together. Obviously, they get another clean sheet. Barisic has had a couple of really difficult days at Parkhead in the past, though, and you've got to take that into consideration. I mean, if he was to have another mistake, I think justifiably there'd be so much criticism because, in those past two games, he's kind of been done at the back post too regularly. So pressure on him, I think, going into that game. But Beale again said after the game that Ridvan obviously still hasn't played that much football, coming back from quite a long spell out of the side. So in that sense, it makes sense to have continuity. But yeah, Barisic, there's not huge confidence maybe going with him into that game, and understandably so. I think he has to have a really good performance to maybe prove a few doubters wrong.
Yeah, he's had a few horror shows at Parkhead. So in the main, I think he's been pretty steady Eddie this season, Borna Barisic. I've not had too many complaints about him, to be honest. He's been pretty robust. I've got to say, I think the break for the World Cup did him the world of good as well. Of course, he's just had his baby boy as well as Mrs. gave birth. So congratulations to the Barisics, and hopefully, he's steady on Saturday as well. He has to be. I just have nightmares, Josh, of that ball getting whipped in across at the back post.
Yeah.
And it's something that Rangers, it's almost their kryptonite, if you like. And Borna's especially. So hopefully he's on top of his game come Saturday. But yeah, the build-up begins, folks, to that game on Saturday. It's only Monday, but it'll get ramped right up as we edge ever closer to that match at Parkhead. Must win for Rangers at this stage of the game, Joshua. We'll get our predictions later on in the week, but must win for you?
Oh, of course, yeah. It has to be. I mean, even if you draw, there's not much value in that, is it?
No.
Not much value. Rangers Beale needs a big result as well in an Old Firm. I think every Rangers manager does. You think back to Gerrard's first season, he inherited a different situation, and getting that win at home was so significant. You think back to that first away win at Parkhead in a number of years as well. Football changes on these moments, and the narrative kind of swings on these moments. So they, I don't think, did themselves justice whatsoever in the cup final. And you just have to hope that that group of players is determined to put it right, maybe with a few changes here or there. I'd definitely be playing Cantwell. Not even a discussion for me.
No.
Obviously, Tillman we've discussed. So you've got Raskin if he is back and available, him as well. So you've got a bit of freshness in there, but you need to go and, I think, right some wrongs, especially given the results the last two times that Rangers have went to Parkhead.
Yeah, as Gordon says, he would rather the big result was on the 30th in the weekend. Why can't we have three big results against them? They're more than capable Rangers. They've got, like I said earlier on, that it's title-winning form. You just hope Michael Beale's learned from his League Cup final mistakes, and Rangers go out there and leave everything on the pitch. And hopefully we're celebrating an Old Firm victory. It's a long time coming. They've not won an Old Firm game since the Hollander game, Joshua, am I right in thinking?
Well, the in the league, obviously.
Oh, the league, yeah, the Scottish Cup semi-final, right enough, yeah. But in the league, yeah, it's been too long. So, and at Parkhead as well. The last one must have been the COVID season, I'm sure.
2-0 at the start of the COVID season. I think
the two Goldson goals.
Connor Goldson, 2 goals, and then it was 1-1, I think, at the end of that season. Obviously 1-1 at the end of last season.
Yeah, Morelos scored that. That was his first Old Firm goal, wasn't it? When he scored that draw there.
And then he scored at home in the 4-1 game as well, I think. So the thing is as well, and we spoke about this a lot, Derek. A number of players are coming to the end. Looks like Morelos is at the moment, unless something's to happen. The cup final, the League Cup final, was a really big talking point for this as well. How are they going to be remembered? And if they go out with 3 Old Firm defeats, then I think that really impacts the legacy that they have kind of individually as a group. For so many reasons, it's so important that they get something not only in this game, but especially that Hampden game as well. That's such a big game at the end of the month. Yeah,
it certainly is. Big games that are coming thick and fast, folks. Wouldn't have it any other way. Okay, thanks to everyone for interacting with the show, and to Joshua as ever. We'll be back again tomorrow, but until then, enjoy the rest of your Monday. Bye for now.